friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And one of the last videos I did related to the garden, people saw the hanging pots that I was using and were asking about that. And I did do a video over a year ago on at least one of the ways that I repurposed some hanging pots, but I thought I'd go into a little bit more detail and show you what I'm doing with them and why I changed it up. Now, years ago, we had bought a whole bunch of these hanging pots just to make more of our limited gardening space so that I could use them to grow various things. Now, the only thing I did even somewhat successfully was growing pansies in them. And you can see in some of these photos I'm putting here where, and these are from several years back, where we had pansies growing in the pots around, hanging around the deck. And then we also hung them any places we could, but they just never did great. And then you were always having to replace the fibers in the bottom, and that could get kind of expensive, especially if you're going with a coconut fiber instead of a burlap, which the coconut fiber lasts longer than burlap, but it's really expensive. So I found other ways to use the pots, and they've been far more useful to me in the ways that I'm using them than when I was using them to grow things in. So let me get started with what's going on right behind me here at the corner of the deck, right next. This is a shop right here. You might remember seeing the video that Patrick did on this shelf that he built me. And I'll show you a few things I have here, and then I'm going to walk you around and show you a few other ways that I'm using the pots. And since I'm showing gardening stuff, I might as well tell you what today is, because I don't know when I'm going to publish this video. So today is actually June 24th. And so anyway, you can see my beans, they're getting, at least these ones have got some flowers on them. I've got little flowers showing up on beans all over the place. Some are opening up a lot farther than these. I've got some nasturtiums here. Here's my honeysuckle doing really good in this pot right now, thankfully. What do the hanging pots have to do with this section here? Well, right here, you see these chains that my beans are climbing up and going across the gutter here? These are just some of the chains that I took off the hanging pots when I decided I was going to stop using them as a hanging pot. And so the beans they've already started. Well, I have to actually guide them this way, but because otherwise they just kind of go wherever direction they want. So the whole idea is to get these beans to grow along these chains just the same way that they're climbing up this. I was considering also utilizing them for the honeysuckle here too, but I think I'll just stick with the stakes for that. But anyway, the beans they really love climbing on these chains. They're the right texture. They can grab onto them easily enough. So they've worked really good this way. So the bigger hook up there was the hook that you initially hung onto whatever. And then it had the 3 chains that came off. So what I did was I went around, and thankfully the nice thing about these particular pots is they had clips like these. And so I unclipped them from the pots and then cut off some of the chains from the hooks and left either, like in this case, 2 chains. So I just cut off one, and then I could use that one that I cut off to hook onto another one here like that to extend the length to make it longer wherever needed. Now here I just did this, and this is just temporary because I have this one blue, I do have several blue butterfly peas now that have come up so far, but they've just been coming up very slowly. And so I just put the rest of my pots I'm not currently using. I do use them all at some point in the year, but the ones I'm not using right now, I've just stacked on top of here, on top of this big pot to get this higher up so it can catch more sun. The sun's not out today, as you can tell. And then I've got another chain right here, so when these get tall enough, they can start wrapping around this chain. I'm hoping to find one more. I think I might still have one more chain I can hook onto there to make that longer, and then have those climb up there. Again, more of the chains, and then some of them I'm just using for hanging cute things like that. And then back over here you can see another one of these little watering cans. I found them at garage sales, and a set of bells from an old wind chime that fell apart on me, hanging there. So they kind of serve multi-purpose, those chains. And then over here on this side of the deck, you might have seen this when I was talking about the green onions, and look how far some of these green onions have come since those pictures. But I've got these pots here. I still haven't explained why I have them over the top of these pots in the first place. So overturned hanging pots on the top of other pots. And I'll get to that in just a minute. Let me show you the pots on the other side. So more there. and there, and right there. And here's one of the green onions I'd planted in that video. She's coming along, and all the rest of them are growing quite well. So the purpose of these is that we kind of got it blocked off, but the chickens are having a really hard time getting up on the deck now. But the main reason I put these over the pots like this was it was kind of a nicer looking way to keep the chickens from getting into the pots and digging things up. Now they'd still peck some of the stuff out, but not everything. Mostly left the stuff alone. As long as they couldn't get their body into the pot to dig stuff out, then these were worked very well for me for doing that. Oh, and by the way, here's this little solar light that my son and his girlfriend got me for Mother's Day this year. Isn't that beautiful? And then here's some more of the chains being utilized. Here's some beans that are actually blooming. So these are my runner beans. These are the scarlet runners right there. And so they're starting to climb up. I got 2 sets of chains. This is this pot that's sitting just outside of my greenhouse. So I've got strawberries and beans in there. And anyway, the beans are starting to grow up these chains. And I'm hoping these ones will go that way across the string lights. And then these, once they get up to there, if they keep growing, they'll go this way across the string lights. So you can see last year they actually got to here, so before they stopped growing. So that's what those are there. And then the other thing that I do with the pots, like the ones you saw stacked up on the deck, earlier in the year when I plant the potatoes, this is where I first started using them, realized, oh, I can use these pots for something else. And that is when I plant my potatoes out front, but I'm still wanting the chickens to run around in that area to dig up bugs and slug eggs and baby slugs and just keep that tilled up. But I want to get my potatoes in the ground. So what I do is I go ahead and put the potato in the ground, put the hanging pot over the top of the potato, and then put a stake just on the inside of the pot so that chickens, if they scratch around there, they can't actually move the pot from over the top of the potatoes, but it keeps them from actually digging up the potatoes. So I've been doing this for the past 2 years, and it's worked very effectively. And then once the potatoes get big enough that I can't really keep them underneath the pot anymore, then I totally fence that area off so the chickens can't get in there, and then I remove the pot. So that's why I have a stack over here that I wasn't utilizing for anything until I put that blue butterfly pea on top of it. So that's just there's just a couple of different ways that I've been repurposing those pots and still making good use of them, even though they haven't worked good for actually growing things in. They've been very useful in many other ways and actually still look nice. So anyway, hopefully that will give you some ideas of things that you can do where you can recycle some stuff. If it's not working the way you'd planned, then find a way to utilize it in another way. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed my video and my explanation on how I repurpose the old hanging pots. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.